Hello again, everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of Zips Weekly with head basketball coach John Groce. It's brought to you all season long by the Wentz Financial Group. Well, right now the Zips are 8-5, 1-0 in the Mid-American Conference after a come-from-behind win over Bowling Green on Friday night. But, Coach, how about the ups and downs of college basketball? We saw it all this week. We had a big lead at Princeton. We lose at the buzzer. And then we're down big at Bowling Green and come back and win it. That's the grind of college basketball, I guess.
The nature of the beast,
yes.
Right, Joe? Hey, before we get started, I want to wish our producer,
yes.
Chad Welker, happy birthday. And then his assistant, Tanner, who's in here. Tanner Martin's been in here for the last, the 8 years we've been doing the show. And then we've had other workers, a lot of them students that have come in and assisted us, haven't they, Joe, over the 8 years that we're so appreciative of, and they do a great job with Zips Weekly. So happy birthday to Chad Welker.
Yeah, they make us look good, don't they, Coach?
They try. It's hard, you know. Chad has tried, I don't know if you can do it through Adobe Photoshop or what, to put hair on my head, but he says this job's too stressful. I have no chance.
Exactly. We do not have enough time to tell you about everything that happened on that Princeton trip. Suffice it to say, that was a tough one.
It really was all the way around. Yeah, the travel was tough. But, you know, overall, I think if we look at it the right way, it could be a very valuable experience for us moving forward. I always tell them, run to hard, man. When it's hard, run to it. Run to the adversity. We don't shy away from that. We were just talking about it off the air, how difficult our non-conference schedule was. It's the second hardest one we've played in the 8 years. Obviously, we've been gone for a month with away and neutral games, and we've been really challenged with a new group of guys with 9 new players, and I think it's made us better. It's made us better, I think, emotionally, mentally, physically. It's helped us battle through some things and brought us a little closer together.
Right now, let's go back to Princeton. It was a Monday afternoon game, and, Coach, they are picked right at the top of the Ivy League. That is a big challenge against Princeton.
Yeah, and we've played a lot of teams, right, Joe, that have been picked to win their leagues preseason, whether it's Princeton or Yale. Obviously, we're looking at Princeton highlights in this case, but I thought it was the best game that we played all year. Not even close to this point. Led for 35 minutes against a really good team. I thought our defense was clicking, was impactful. There you see Amani make a great effort play on a block shot. Thought we played with great effort. I thought we executed our game plan defensively, in particular in the first half, really well as we limited their three-point production, Joe. They were 0 for 5 from 3 at the half, and they rely heavily on the 3. Thought our guys did a great job of that. Offensively, I thought we really moved the ball. We executed as well as we have all year. I thought our shot diet was really good. Just all around our best performance, if you look at defense, offense, rebounding, execution. Thought our togetherness was really good. Multiple efforts was good. You know, unfortunately, kid makes a tough shot to end the game, and we weren't quite able to get a couple to go in and get a couple key stops late in the game to finish it off.
You know, I noticed right away, Coach, you came out such aggressively on defense to start that basketball game.
We did. I thought we were just aggressive in general. Joe, we got off to a great start, which will be a point of emphasis moving forward because, well, we'll get into Bowling Green here in a minute, but I thought they smacked us in the mouth to start the game. I thought Yale did the same thing, and I thought we got after Jackson State and Princeton to start the game. And so we need to be more consistent with that. I always tell them the toughest team sets the rules of engagement. And we've done that in 2 of the last 4, but in 2 of the last 4 we haven't. So we got to be more consistent with that.
I think Tavari Johnson is going to hit a three-pointer right at the buzzer to end the first half, Coach. We're going to go up by 11, 41-30, emphasizing that was a great first half.
It really was, all the way around. Offensive execution, you see it here on the lob to Okonkwo. You saw Tavari skip it on the last clip to Isaiah Gray for a 3. Here's a great Wilson to Okonkwo pick and roll. James gets behind the big. And we get a dunk, and there's the 3 you're referring to, which I thought was a big shot, gave us a lot of momentum, and an 11-point lead at the half.
Yeah, Akron's biggest lead comes early in the second half. Coach, are up by 15 points.
Yeah, just really clicking, right? And up, I believe, 13 with 8 to go, 11 or 13 with 8 to go. Give them credit, and you know they're going to be resilient, right? They've got 4 starters back from a team that has won a lot, has been in NCAA tournaments, postseason play, Ivy League championships. Like, they're not going to fold. They're going to fight back, and they did. give them credit for the resiliency that they show. But I thought a lot of it for us late in the game was just some shot making. It wasn't necessarily effort related or execution. We got to make a couple shots and convert them. I thought we had really good threes, in particular from Hardman, there in the back half of the second half that he normally makes. We had some other guys that also had really good looks. We just didn't convert our opportunities. Seth Wilson was another one, who missed an open three there late in the game. So we had some good looks, just didn't finish.
Yeah,
Great recognition there by TJ to drive their five-man, creates that offensive rebounding opportunity there for James.
We did not see the final three that beat us, Coach. A little controversy, to say the least, on that shot. Took a while for the officials to determine what it was. That was frustrating.
No, it really was. And my point on the deal was, look, if you originally called it a three and told me, hey, I called it a three at the scores table, and you can't find conclusive evidence to overturn it, then it's a three. We shake hands, we go home. Okay?
Exactly.
But if you called it a two, which I was told, and then you look at it for 7 minutes at every different angle that you could possibly imagine, and then try to tell me it's 100% conclusive that it was, then that's a little bit of an issue. So, but it is what it is. And as I told you guys after the game, like, we're going to have to accept it. We're going to run to it. It's not changing. At that point, certainly when we were doing the post-game show, it wasn't. And we got to move on.
Exactly. Zips lose a tough one at Princeton, 76-75. We're going to take a break. Come back and look at a totally different finish. That was the MAC opener Friday night up at Bowling Green. Zips are going to win that one. We're back with the highlights right after this.
Leaving a legacy starts with surrounding yourself with people who want the best for you and your family. At Wentz Financial Group, we understand that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to long-term financial success. We value the responsibility and opportunity to manage the hopes and dreams of all our customers at all points in their journey. Start your legacy today with Wentz Financial Group. Wentz Financial Group, investment management for your lifetime.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes E.H. Roberts Heating and Cooling. Find them at ehroberts.com.
Okay, welcome back to Zips Weekly with head basketball coach John Groce. Well, let's look back at Friday night. It was the Mid-American Conference opener at Bowling Green. It was the only game in the league that night. National TV audience, Coach, and that was a big one to come back and win.
It really was. I was happy for our guys. It was as we said at the outset of the show, it was the antithesis of the Princeton game.
You're right.
I thought we played our best game of the year against Princeton, led for 35 minutes, and then they, as someone said to me, stole it at the end.
Yeah.
It was the flip of that against Bowling Green. They led for 35 minutes, and we kind of stole it at the very end.
You're right.
So it was interesting, our week and how that worked. And it's a little bit, I always say basketball is a microcosm of life. And life's that way, right? You got to expect the unexpected, and you just got to keep swinging and keep playing. But give our guys credit, like we gave Princeton guys credit, Joe, for being resilient in that game. Give our guys credit for being resilient as well, making some adjustments at halftime, in particular offensively. I thought we were really selfish in the first half, over-dribbled, turned it over because we over-dribbled. And then the second half, I thought we played really well together. I believe we finished the second half with 9 assists and only had like 4 turnovers. First half, we had 8 turns. And I thought we were just trying to put the ball in places with the dribble that it didn't belong, that weren't there, trying to force things that weren't there. So give our guys credit. We went after them a little bit at halftime with that and that aspect. In the second half, they made the adjustment, and I thought we're much more unselfish.
Boy, Bowling Green came out on fire, Coach. You can tell how much they wanted that game. They jumped on us 10-0, 13-2, and as you said, give credit to our guys. We battled back in that throughout the game.
We did. Really showed a lot of resiliency. Got down 10-0 when I called the first time out, Joe. And it got, I believe, to a 15-point lead there at one point in the first half. And guys just kept swinging. I also thought our execution was better second half, especially offensively. I thought defensively we were pretty steady throughout the game. both halves, and we're able to impact it in a positive way for us defensively, both first half and second half.
Coach, I talked to you after the game and mentioned we were getting pretty good looks in the second half. They were turning it over. They weren't making shots, but we were getting great looks and not making shots. That's a little frustrating.
Until the very end, right?
Yeah.
You got to, I've said this before, and I know my buddy Dorn's watching the show, but, I'm paraphrasing his reference to golf. We, shoot until we get hot.
Yeah.
So we just stay with it. As long as they're good ones. We believe in our guys that they're going to make them. And, obviously we made some big ones, as you know, Joe, late in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Last 4 minutes, huge. Scott, Nate, Young. Here's a great pick and roll with Sharon and James. He delivers a left-hand flick pass for a dunk. Great one more pass there for a corner three. Shema with a corner three. Now Sharon with a corner three. Here Amani makes a good read, sees a gap, dunks it. I just thought we were a lot smarter in how we attacked them offensively in the second half and took what was there and played together better.
Well, you got a great performance out of the freshman, Sharon Young. He came off the bench. I think he led us in scoring, had a big steal late in the game, which resulted in that Isaiah Gray 3 that gave us the lead for the first time.
Yeah, no, he and Shema, I thought, really were big time. I always say to win, especially in road environments, but in league play in general, because there's a toughness aspect to this that it's hard to put a number on. But you got to have players make plays.
Yeah.
And we had several guys make plays. Obviously, Shema and Sharon made a lot of them late in the game.
Yeah. Coach, a long way to go in the Mid-American Conference, but to win that first game, to get that momentum, I think that's big.
Well, that's big, and it's a road game,
Yeah.
right? Joe, you've been around this league forever. It's anybody can beat anybody on any given night.
Right.
We know that, no matter where it's at. But road wins are unique. They're hard to get in this league, like they are in any league. I think the college basketball statistics show that 70+% of the wins go to the home teams.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
You got to have an exceptional level of toughness. Players got to make plays. You got to be ready to make adjustments. And you got to understand when you're playing these teams 2 and sometimes 3 times, familiarity, I always say that, you've heard me say it, breeds
Sure.
contempt. And guys know what you're doing. So it comes down to how tough are you to impose your will to make the plays you need to make and execute regardless of the circumstance. That takes toughness to do that mentally and physically.
And it's the only time we will play Bowling Green unless we see him in Cleveland.
Yeah, no, it's unique, right? And you mentioned that after the game. I wasn't thinking about that, but I thought it was a great point you made. We just see them one time this year.
Exactly. Big win. The Zips are 1-0 in the Mid-American Conference. 2 more big games coming up this week against Central Michigan and up at Ypsilanti, Michigan for an afternoon game on Saturday. We'll talk about those games in a minute. But right now we're going to take a break, come back and take a look at our outstanding players for this week right after this.
Leaving a legacy starts with surrounding yourself with people who want the best for you and your family. At Wentz Financial Group, we understand that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to long-term financial success. We value the responsibility and opportunity to manage the hopes and dreams of all our customers at all points in their journey. Start your legacy today with Wentz Financial Group. Wentz Financial Group, investment management for your lifetime.
The amount of experience you can gain from the University of Akron can't be overstated, whether it's designing components, manufacturing parts, and then actually just going and testing and driving a race car. How many people get to say they do that in college,
I've had amazing opportunities here at the University of Akron. I feel surrounded by love, by support. I know that I can be successful here, and that was always my goal. So I know that the people here are here to help me.
Well, each week at this time, we're going to highlight some of the outstanding performances for our players. And we could have taken a look at a lot of players this week, Coach, but we decided our player of the week is Isaiah Gray. He led us with 25 points in the 2 games. He's the Cornell transfer, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals versus Princeton, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists versus Bowling Green. He's kind of Mr. Consistency. He does a little bit of everything very well.
Yeah, no question. He's a big part of what we do. But
Yeah.
you're right. We have that type of team, and we've talked about this extensively, where you could have picked
Anybody.
Sharon, Shema, Isaiah, and on down the line in terms of how this week unveiled itself. But Isaiah is physical. He's tough. He's a winner. He competes. And he just continues to get better. That's the exciting thing. I used to say this about Hankerson when we had Trendon. You know, he's the type of guy that I wish we'd have for another year. You know, this is Isaiah's last year because those guys typically continue to improve and grow and get better. And Isaiah's doing that. He has from the time he got here in June until now. And I think his best basketball this season is ahead of him.
I agree. Of course, he hit that clutch three-pointer to give us a lead at Bowling Green on Friday night. He's not afraid to take the big shot.
No, not at all. Yeah, that was a big shot too, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, he made a big one. We mentioned Naden, Sharon, and Shema. That one from the corner was a big shot by Isaiah as well in the guts of the game.
Exactly. Whose stock is rising? That's what we're going to talk about each week, brought to you by the Wentz Financial Group. We went with another transfer, 6'8" James Okonkwo from North Carolina. Seems like he's another guy, Coach, that's getting better and better every game. 15 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists against Princeton. 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks against Bowling Green. And again, he's a guy I think is going to get better and better because he's getting more minutes with us than he ever got before.
No question. And you're right on that. So the unique thing about him is from a minutes per game perspective, this is the most he's played, and he's getting better rapidly.
Exactly.
Obviously, as you know, Joe, an elite rebounder. And we've had some elite rebounders, right, with Enrique. So per minute played, I mean, he's right up there with Reek, both offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding. And Pat Riley used to say all the time, rebounding wins rings.
That's right.
So, but it's really important because you can play great defense, but if you can't finish the possession with a first-time defensive rebound consistently, it's hard to be any good. And James obviously helps us in that area at a really high level. And the other areas I think are really coming along. You mentioned his 3 assists against Bowling Green. I thought he caught it in what we call the short roll area and really made good decisions. And he's worked very hard at that. Our staff has worked very hard with him, and he just continues to get better.
The one thing I noticed, he gets off his feet in a hurry. Great timing, gets up in a hurry.
Great jumper. We need to continue to get him to roll forcefully in pick and roll situations. But no, he's got really good hands, really good around the basket. And then he's wired, as you know, from watching him to be physical.
Yes.
You know, some guys are seekers of contact. Some guys are avoiders by nature. You try to get those avoiders to be more seeker-like.
Yes.
James, you don't have to worry about that. He loves contact. He's a seeker.
Exactly. Well, the grind continues this week with 2 more Mid-American Conference games. Tuesday night at home against Central Michigan, then a trip up to Ypsilanti on Saturday for another Saturday afternoon game against Eastern Michigan. We're going to get back and talk about those 2 games right after this.
Leaving a legacy starts with surrounding yourself with people who want the best for you and your family. At Wentz Financial Group, we understand that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to long-term financial success. We value the responsibility and opportunity to manage the hopes and dreams of all our customers at all points in their journey. Start your legacy today with Wentz Financial Group. Wentz Financial Group, investment management for your lifetime.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes E.H. Roberts Heating and Cooling. Find them at ehroberts.com.
Well, our scouting reports each week brought to you by the Akron Hilton Fairlawn Hotel. We're glad they're with us again this year. And Coach, 2 more Mid-American Conference games Tuesday at home against Central Michigan. Tony Barbee in his 4th season up at Mount Pleasant. They got a big win the other day, they lost 57-55 to Ohio. But last year, Coach, they were picked, I think, at the bottom of the league. They won 12 games in the league, so they got it going again this year.
Yeah, I mean, he does a great
job.
He does. They're so physical and tough. And they've played the hardest schedule in our league in terms of their Division I opponents.
Yeah.
7th hardest schedule out of 364. And so, you know, their record can be a little bit of a misnomer. They're very, very good. You know, obviously watched their tight game against Ohio that they lost by 2 at home. And obviously we know for the most part everyone picked Ohio and chasing Ohio to win the league this year. So, Yeah, super physical, tough, always good defensively.
Yeah.
They're traditionally, Joe, top 3 or 4 at worst defensively in our league every year.
Yeah.
So you know it's going to be hard to score against them. Marquette and Shaka Smart, actually a former Zips assistant
coach here, yeah.
Great coaches at Marquette. Their offense is top 10 in the country, and they held Marquette down in scoring.
They did.
At Marquette, and finished what we call under 100 points per possession against that offense. Obviously, Ohio right now is number 2 in the league on offense, and they held them, even if it was a loss, to 57. So they're very hard to score against. They blend both man-to-man and matchup zone. You know, they've added a lot of transfers, but, you know, obviously the head of the snake is the preseason player of the year and last year's reigning defensive player of the year, and Anthony Pritchard, who's terrific. As talented as he is on offense, and he is a double-figure scorer, and he can score and make plays for himself and his teammates, he is a one-man wrecking crew on defense. Steals, deflections, disruption, you know, gets into the ball. Obviously, stating the obvious here, he's elite defensively, or you don't win MAC Defensive Player of the Year last year. So that's kind of the scouting report a little bit on them. We're going to have to be really sharp offensively to score on them. And then we've got to do a good job. Heady, they've got 2 Headies, Jacoby and Quentin. Jacoby's the one who starts and is their leading scorer.
Transfer from Bethune-Cookman.
He can really put pressure on the rim with his driving game, cutting game, offensive rebounding, high free throw rate. They've got good size with their 5, who's also a transfer, good player. And then they've got enough shooting with Vanderjagt from Belmont on the transfer, who's a double-figure scorer off the bench, which is always a luxury to have. And then Vasco, who can really shoot it and make some plays and play some backup point for him. So it'll be a real challenge. We got to make sure we're ready to go, and hopefully can get off to a better start.
Yes.
You don't want to dig yourself 10-0 and 13-2 holes every game. That's not the right recipe. You know, to give our guys credit for the resiliency against BG, but we got to come out swinging a little bit better than we did at Bowling Green.
Exactly. Which brings us to Saturday afternoon up Eastern Michigan. The Eagles head coach Stan Heath in his 4th season up at Ypsilanti. They are currently 7-6, and they beat Northern Illinois to open up the MAC season 75-71. So they're feeling pretty good about themselves too.
Yeah, no, sitting at 1-0. Obviously, we talked about anytime you can get a league win, it's a big deal. Have great respect for Stan. Obviously, has been a terrific coach for a long time and has seen it all. At all levels. Does a great job, knows what he's doing defensively, and obviously their deal starts with the 2 transfers from DePaul that are both averaging 15 a game in Nelson and Terry. You know, you got to figure out how to make them less impactful. But again, it's a road game.
Yes.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you got to be ready to go. We got to play with some toughness. And as we get ready and we think about having next week's show, you know, I'm interested to see here in the 2 games this week what type of start we can get off to, you know. And I'm not talking about necessarily the score. I'm talking about, do we set the rules from a physicality standpoint, an intensity standpoint, an emotional, mental, and physical engagement standpoint, like Bowling Green did the other day, or like we did against Princeton? Which one's it going to be? Can we consistently do that in the 2 games this week?
Yeah. Well, Eastern was down, I think, 4 at the half against Northern. He come out and outscored the Huskies 42-34 in the second half. You mentioned 6'8" Deshaun Nelson, 32 points, 9 rebounds against Northern Illinois. So he's going to be a load in the league.
Yeah, no, and every team's different, right?
Yeah.
As we get ready for these teams, because of the environment we're in right now in college basketball, where each year the rosters are changing more than they ever have in my career, we're going to see a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
Like Nelson and Terry didn't play for Eastern last year. You know, of the 9 guys that are in the primary rotation for Central, you know, 5 or 6 of them are new guys. We're going to see them for the first time.
Exactly.
So I think that's going to be fairly typical.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Coach, congratulations on the win over Bowling Green. The Zips off to a 1-0 start in the Mid-American Conference. We're back next week to talk about hopefully 2 more Zip wins. For the coach, I'm Joe Dunn. Always remember, go Zips.
This has been a presentation from Learfield IMG College.